Good morning. Welcome to the Bearded Bama Bushcrafter. Today I wanted to continue with a series that I've made a few videos on. And the series is how to, just basically bushcrafting 101. And today I want to talk about purifying water. The first step in purifying water is locating a water source. All right, I've located some water. This water looks fairly decent. It's flowing. When you're out in the wilderness or woods environment, I would try to find a healthy source of water, such as this small branch here. And being that it is flowing through sand, this water is pretty clean. But however, I want to say this, I would not just walk up and start drinking this water. I'm seeing a lot of animal tracks. I see deer, coon tracks, and that is telling me that they could be pooping or peeing in this source. I've heard people say that if animals are drinking from it, you can drink from it. But I also know that you can get a virus, or it's a pathogen. It's called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. It's either pronounced Giardia or Giardia. It's also known as beaver fever. And it can cause you to have real bad stomach cramps and bloating. Almost kind of like a bad stomach virus. Check this out. This branch drops off into the ground here. I even see some canine tracks here. That's pretty awesome. So it drops underground, and somewhere back down in there it feeds out again. But we're going to stop right here and collect some water. Stand by. All right, I'm going to show two different methods of purifying water. One is very simple, and it is simply you purchase a filtration system. This is the Grail, and it works like a French coffee press. You collect the water, and then where the cartridge is attached to the reservoir, you just slowly push down. I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. And then I'm going to collect some water, and one of my favorite ways to, especially if I'm camping, just out and have time, I like to boil water because that definitely purifies it for you. All right, real quickly, collect the water in this part, and it shows you where to fill it to. And then there's the filtration cartridge, and this just presses down inside of this container, and then you have fresh drinking water inside. I think it's about 20 ounces once you press it. All right, real quick, let's demonstrate this. The line is about right here, and I'm going to tell you this. Let me show you this real quick. The top has a red and a green. You just simply twist that little arrow on top of your knob to the green, and it opens up so air can be pushed out. And you simply set it down in, and you push down. And I want to make this suggestion, which you'll read about it if you purchase one of these devices. And I've also been hearing people complain about how trashy and slow it becomes. And that all depends on your water source. If you're getting water from real silty area, check this out. Have fresh drinking water. That's good stuff. You know, this creek that I'm collecting water from is real clear. I don't see a lot of sediment flowing in it, a lot of trash. It's real sandy. And it's not disturbed, so there's not a lot of particles floating And there's ways of cleaning that too, and we'll talk about that shortly. If you've been following along and watching my videos, I want to say thank you. And if you're new to my channel, I want to say welcome. One of my videos I show how to make a fire, real simple. And I'm going to get a fire going here to get this process of boiling water. You want to make it a habit to carry a stainless steel container with you. I like stainless steel over aluminum. That's just my preference. But if you carry aluminum, that's fine. Be careful when you purchase your containers. Make sure it's not like a thermos type, whether it's insulated, because you'll bust that when you heat it up. Nalgene bottles, probably the majority of people who get outdoors and hike carry these. This is what I collected my water in. And it's good to have these, but don't just carry this, because you can't boil water in this. Well, you can, but that's a process you have to be real careful with when you're boiling with a styrofoam cup or a plastic bottle or something. Get in the habit, make it habitual. I've heard that. That's a good thing to keep in your mind. Get you a pouch, a pack. Carry things with you that you'll use in the woods. Stainless steel containers. This is, I believe it's 32 ounces, 32 ounces. And I got this from Self-Reliance Outdoors Outfitters. I can't remember how much it was. It was 15 bucks or so. But get you a stainless steel container and keep it on in your kit. I want to keep this video real simple. There's probably 100 ways to purify water, but I think you should learn 2 or 3 and know them well. Purchase a device such as this Grail filtration system. I have instant water within, just a matter of minutes, and I have fresh drinking water. But, if you think about long term and you're in a place you can have a fire, you can boil water and have it along. What I do here, got the fire going, got the container, and I'll mark the time. I'm going to see how long it takes it to start boiling. I've heard experts say when you start seeing the little bubbles on the side of the container, that it's actually safe to drink the water at that point. However, I can remember watching some Morris Kahansky videos and reading his books, and he always liked to get a full boiling roll, especially when making camp coffee. He had this thing about getting it to a 1-minute boil. I have done it both ways and been fine, but boiling water is probably the safest without using any type of chemicals. I don't like using the iodine tablets and those little chemical tablets, whatever. I like to try to keep it as pure as possible. And truth be known, this water out here in the woods is probably safer than what we're drinking out of our tap water and buying in the store. Got my little fire going. And I've got to handle this pot when it gets hot, I'll use my pliers from my Leatherman. Guys, get in the habit of carrying things on your person. I think they call it EDC, everyday carry. I have a knife, I have a handkerchief. Talking about the handkerchief, if the water is real brackish or has a lot of tannin in it, which you'll find in your hardwood areas, you may want to filter the water from one container to another a couple of times, and that'll get the tannin out of the water. I think large amounts of tannin can harm you, but for the most part, boil it out, clean it out, strain it through a cloth like a handkerchief. Keep a handkerchief in your pocket, just a simple way to help. Also, a handkerchief will collect the little particles of whatever that's in the water, and it'll help you clean your water up better before you process it by boiling it or putting it into your cartridge here. You put a lot of sediment, a lot of particles in it, it's going to clog up a lot quicker, and it's going to fail you. while this water is boiling, let's talk about a few things. If I was going to camp here, this is a nice level area. Is there anything overhead? Any dead trees within my immediate area that could fall on me? Dead trees, widowmakers. You want to think about these things when you're out and about in the woods. You want to stay as safe as possible. You want to keep away from having a mechanical injury. Try not to burn ourselves. Try not to cut ourselves. If you're carrying a firearm, try not to self-inflicted gun wound, an accidental discharge. You want to keep all these things in mind. You want to be careful of falls, especially from high places. Around here, you don't really have to worry about that too much. I'm in basically a creek bottom. This little branch here is a contributary of, if I pronounce this correctly, Chocfalaca Creek. And then that creek feeds into the Tallapoosa River, and the Tallapoosa works its way into the Alabama River, where it meets with the Coosa here in Alabama, and then the Alabama field works its way down into the Delta, Mobile Bay and all that, and then the Gulf of Mexico. So I could technically get in the larger creek, which is not far from here, in a kayak, and I could go all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. That's pretty cool to realize that kind of stuff. All right, I'm going to attempt to hold this over the water bottle. I don't know if I'm getting a good shot, but I'm actually starting to see little bubbles. I don't know if, let me try that again. Hopefully you can see that. Starting to see the water, the little bubbles coming up. And from some of the experts that I've read and watched their videos, they say that now this water is safe to drink. This is the container I collected it in. And I poured it into my stainless steel, and it's boiling. I like to err to the side of safety when I'm in a wilderness or survival situation, because the point is to survive. The point is not only to survive, but thrive. So I don't want to make myself sick by eating something that I'm not familiar with or drinking from a water source that could be contaminated with whatever. I'm a good ways away from any human habitation, so I don't really think I have to worry about ground seepage from septic systems or sewer lines of that matter, but there are still natural pathogens in our wilderness environment that can make you very sick and even kill you. If you get out here and you get sick and you get diarrhea, you get dehydrated, that can put you in the ground pretty quick. So you want to avoid that. So be careful of what you're collecting and just make sure you're making it safe. It's that simple. If you're curious on what I have with me today, I have a haversack that I put together some years ago. I had dyed it in walnut. I collected some walnuts and I boiled them down and made a dye, a natural dye. And I probably could, if this thing was white, it's a canvas, but it's kind of got a nice little more natural brown color to it. I have my Campfire knife with me by Condor, my big lighter, my Exotech carrier, my grill, water filtration. I like this. These things I think are about 60 to 80 bucks. And I'm not sure if they have any different size. I'm not sure, but this was the size that I think they have only. I don't know if they have other sizes. But when I bought this, I did purchase an extra cartridge. But I'm still using the original cartridge that came with it. And that thing's come in handy. I keep it with me. Water's boiling now. So I'm going to get the fire heated up just a little bit more. And I want to see that rolling boil. Stoke your fire. Adjust your heat. Okay, with this little fire that I started, simply blowing on it and restoke it and get the flames back up. I've checked my time. It's been about 10 minutes. And I started noticing the boiling action in it. You don't have to have a huge bonfire. For some reason, I guess for security reasons, when we are out, especially by ourselves, we think we have to have these large fires. But we don't. A small fire, I remember reading about the long hunters of the colonial period here in the United States in the 18th century. And those guys would go out for months at a time, and they would trap and hunt, and would be gone for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year, and they would be by themselves, just a horse and a pack animal, which would probably be another horse or a mule. And, you know, hostile, what they considered hostile Indians were still, you know, in abundance. So keeping a fire to a minimum, unless you were in an area that you couldn't have a fire and you had to have a cold camp then. But they kept the fire small. I think the Indians were the same way for the most part when they were out on their patrols and scouts. You don't want to draw a lot of attention to you. You want to keep, you know, things at a minimal. Plus, you just want to be safe and don't want to catch the woods on fire by having a raging campfire. Something about campfires reminds me of one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And it's after the resurrection of Jesus. And the disciples have gone back to what they knew to do. And that was pretty much fish. So they're out fishing one morning, and they're not catching anything. And they look and they see this guy walking along the shoreline. They don't recognize him. And they're kind of frustrated because they've been out all night fishing. And these guys are professional fishermen. And here's this person walking along the shoreline, and he yells out to them, "Hey, try the other side." And they kind of look at him like, "What? What's this guy, you know, what's his deal?" So when you read about it, they kind of reluctantly, they try it, and they catch this huge load of fish. And then Peter recognizes that it's Jesus, and he jumps out of the boat. But as he gets to shore, the time that they caught the fish, and then Peter recognizes who the person is telling them what to do, they get to the shoreline, and Jesus is sitting there. And I imagine it was a setting similar to this. A small fire, a little area cleaned out, and he's sitting there, and they cook some fish, and they start fellowshipping. And I think about that a lot, the fellowship of those men and the camaraderie that they shared, the brotherhood around a fire. That's one of my favorite things about campfires, is especially when you're with others, it's just a sense of peace and fellowship that you get when you're in the wilderness setting and you have a fire going. And I thought I'd just share that story with you real quick. Just under 20 minutes and I have a rolling boil. I'm going to try to hold this camera. I'm not sure how that shot's going to turn out there. With this camera, it's kind of funny. Pay attention to, as you're processing your water. I noticed that my bottle's starting to lean, so I had to readjust it. You don't want it to spill out. You want to save as much time as possible. So within 20 minutes, I have even, that's probably 12 ounces. I didn't pour all of the water in there because the more water you have, the longer it's going to take to boil. You don't have to do it in one big hurry. Like I said earlier in some of my videos, you get in a hurry, that's when you start making mistakes. So you want to kind of slow yourself down and enjoy the process. It gets your mind settled too, especially, again, you know, if you're in a situation where you're lost, you're going to be, you know, scared and nervous, and that can cause more issues. So you want to calm yourself, and doing something like this, getting your mind off of the situation, it's calming. So think about those things. All right, well, now we have some purified water. We can get hydrated. It is definitely rolling inside that bottle now. And what I would do here, I would take this can off the fire, and I would carry it to the creek, and I would set it in the creek, and that would help it cool off quicker. And real quick, I want to, before I end this video, I posted a video this past weekend, and wow, the subject, I learned people really like it. And I just am floored by the views and the likes and even the dislikes. That's fine. And man, the comments that people have made on this latest video. I want to let you know I'm going to do more on that subject. I appreciate my new followers. I hope you guys are enjoying the content that I am producing in these videos. I hope you enjoy talking about some of the stories that I talk about and I share with you guys. I'm going to do another video on the same subject That's this other video that I have just, you know, it just has gone through the roof in my eyes, because I've never made a video and it's gotten that type of attention. So I thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys enjoying it and making the comments and sharing your thoughts. And I'm learning some things through some of the comments that people make or have made. On this video, it was simply Bushcrafting 101, getting back to that little series. And we have fresh water through filtration process, and the smoke is coming at me, and the boiling process. So now we have safe drinking water, or safe water to cook with if you need it. I have cooked with water that I collected from a creek and put my food in it and boiled it. That may sound silly, but I've done that without any issues. That choice is your choice to make. I have to stand up because the smoke is getting me. Now I'm going to put this fire out. I'm going to make sure that it is saturated before I leave this area. And once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who's following along. Thank you for your subscribing to the channel. I hope you like this video. Hit that like button. If you're new, if you come along and you find this video and you like the content, subscribe to my channel. Share these videos. That's my goal, is to grow it and just share what I get out here in the woods. I was thinking earlier, to learn about nature, to observe nature, you have to be in nature. So I'm learning every time I get out here in the woods. And I'm also building the skills and the craft that I have. I'm keeping that alive within myself. And then I'm trying to share it with you guys through these videos. So thank you. It's Thursday, but it feels like Friday to me. I've taken some time off work, and I have been out in the woods doing some things. I was turkey hunting this morning, but man, it seemed like there's no turkeys anywhere. So I wanted to make this little video and share it with you. Hope you guys enjoy. Y'all take care. See you next time.